Welcome back, my brothers and sisters. This is Kalki Khaira, and it's our podcast called Rebels United, Chapter 3. In God's name we live, in God's name we serve, in God's name we shall perish and die. Today I have three of my great friends, my co host Joseph,
Hello.
my, my hopeful co host going forward, Davy,
Hi there.
and my Indian brother. So we will start with Bhavin. You can do a little introduction for us. We have Joseph and Davy from last episode. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, definitely. So you already know me from years ago. Just like you said, I'm also a legal immigrant from India. Came here as a kid. Grew up in the U.S. most of my life. Went through the schooling, college, parties. Work life, everything. So I've been here probably 80% of my life, I would say.
Nice, nice. 80% is quite higher than mine, actually. But man, this country is something different. And I do want to talk to you about political stuff happening in India, but maybe some other time. We are short on time today. I do want to address something. I say Rebels United, let's sow the divide. And somebody brought it up to me that sowing means you're actually making the divide better. Oh, sorry, bigger. But no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is already a divide. Let's plant a seed in that divide and make people see that there is no need for a divide. We are trying to make you see a better future in which we are together. And that's why I try to bring people from every aspect of life in America to talk about subjects that actually matter to us. Not what, and there is a lot going on when it comes to information. Both sides are getting different information and they are just starting to friction instead of talking to each other, and that's the whole point of this show, is to get people to talk to each other with different opinions, different point of view, and different beliefs. So with that, let I there are so many topics to talk about today, and I want to start with Hawaii, how everybody is
Ooh.
feeling about that.
Oh my God.
uh, I will start the same way. Everybody gets 2 minutes to talk, and I will speak in the end. And then, if there are any rebuttals, we will address them. Bhavin, we start with you. How are you feeling
Yeah,
about it?
definitely. So obviously, it's a disaster. And one thing I guess I didn't say in the introduction was I'm an engineer, so I always question everything, right? So something I was doing yesterday on this Hawaii topic. First of all, it's an island or many islands, and I'm just surprised that the wildfire happens basically in the Pacific Ocean on an island, which is kind of strange to me. So somebody brought up to my attention that some of the pictures and the videos, the trees were not burned. So I had to go look it up. So when I did my digging, my research, um, I I saw that. I saw that in the center of where the disaster struck, wildfires, nothing should survive, especially when cars are burning, when metal's burning, when everything is burning, trees would be the first ones to usually lose the leaves and basically burn out. So a lot of pictures and a lot of images I saw, trees were not burned. And then so the source that I got some information on saying that this was kind of like an attack as an DEW, I kind of now buy that because again, when I'm doing my analysis, right, trees should not be unburned because any wildfire you look at in the history, whether it's in the jungle or whether it's California or recently Canada, anywhere, things get burned because fire doesn't leave anything behind. So again, this is just my something I learned and researched yesterday, and I was surprised to find out what I found out. And I think it is something's going on. I don't think it's a natural wildfire. I think something happened here, and it might have things to do with the military. I think, but again, that's all I can say from what I've seen and what I've researched on the net.
Okay. And it's not a requirement, but if you would please indulge in your party affiliation. Is it Democratic or Republic or something else?
Yeah, so basically, I could say that I usually describe people the way I am is I am at an X amount on the scale, and that X never moves. So I'm kind of like that guy who does not move, but the parties move around. So, for example, uh, you know, 10 years ago, I was a Democrat, and I was a Democrat before then. But again, I did not move on the scale. The scale moved. And when the scale moved right now we can describe me as a Republican. But again, I don't move on the scale because I take in the science, I take in a lot of things. I always analyze. I don't ever listen to anybody. That's the whole thing. I don't listen to anybody. I listen to them only for information purposes. But then I go and web the information, right? I go ahead and test the information. I always test the information. And then whatever makes sense after I test it, right, with the God given brain I have, only then I know what's where, right? And then, so the answer to your question is, yeah, this
At the moment, you're
I'm
Republican.
fixed on the scale, but the scale moves. So right now, it would be Republican. 10 years
Right.
ago, it was a Democrat, and then again, it changes. But it's has to make sense.
That's how it should be, in my opinion, too. So that being said, Davy, do you have any take on what's happening in Hawaii?
So actually, I do. I have a personal connection because my parents are retired in South Maui in Kihei. Now, thankfully, the
Oh, wow.
fire didn't get as far as Kihei. It was more on the west side of Maui around Lahaina. It
Mhm.
absolutely horrible, devastating tragedy, and it was terrifying. My parents were keeping us up to date every minute just to make sure that to let all of our family know that they were okay, that they're not being affected. Um, so as my mom told me from what she found out about the whole fire situation, so to put it in perspective, they're on an island. It's a series of islands, so they're cut off from everything. The fire department is literally made up of less than 60 people. And so a
Wow.
Oh,
fire, I guess, had broken out somewhere a little further north of Lahaina. And it was a big fire out in the forest or whatever. And they had said that it was 100% contained, that it was fine. But I guess it wasn't fine. And when they had left, the fire went out of control. And
Oh,
because of those really high winds from the storm, it just blew through and there was just no escaping it. So,
oh,
unfortunately, even though in the media they're starting to say now, like, oh, I think we've found like 50 people perished, it's upwards into maybe the hundreds, or like up to maybe 1,000
oh,
people
wow.
perished
wow.
because they couldn't
What?
escape. Like traffic was backed up, there was nowhere to go. People died in their cars, their homes. There was no sirens, no warnings. Like their only warning was, I guess, people had realized the fire was happening. They started running through the streets screaming and waking people up. Like no
Wow.
one knew what was happening.
I'm so glad your parents are safe and are painful.
Mm.
I don't know, feelings or hearts or prayers go to everybody who is affected by it. And this is first-hand account, which we are not seeing in mainstream at all.
Yeah.
And this hurts even more than I can even like. I was not expecting it. Oh wow!
There's a lot
So
that it isn't being reported on. Like I've seen more reports and footage on TikTok of people literally jumping into the ocean to try to escape. And even then,
right.
the waves were so strong and it was bashing a lot of them up against the cliffside and the rocks.
Oh.
Because Lahaina is not a super beachy area, it's pretty rocky. So, oh, it's just devastating. The whole
Huh.
situation is awful.
Hmm.
Joe.
Um, I do know people that live there, and luckily they're fine. Um, I actually don't know the full extent if they've lost property or whatnot. Um, but my friend from Phoenix got married and moved out there. So, but she's fine. And like I said, I have no idea if they've lost property or anything. But um, yeah, and I don't know much about it other than it doesn't seem natural. I don't really know what's going on, but it certainly didn't seem natural to me. Same thing with seeing the photos with the trees didn't burn. It didn't make sense. But either way, it's devastating. And yeah, all I can say is, yeah, we need to pray for those people and pray for a quick recovery of the area. Um, yeah,
Right.
For
it's
sure. But I mean, when it comes
seriously
to
So
sad.
the buying trees, like that tree was um, planted in like the 1800s. So that's an old tree. Like they've all been charred, but from
Yeah,
what they've been reporting is that the roots are okay. So the trees will grow back and they'll be okay, but their
Okay.
outsides are just black. Like they are charred.
Huh.
But the roots
yeah.
weren't
No, but
damaged. So
the
they'll
Yeah.
fortunately
yeah.
they'll come
So
back.
I, yeah, so I think what I was referring to was yeah. So the big tree that you're talking about, I mean, some trees were charred, but there are some trees where the leaves are still like flying through, and again, some of the buildings too. So back to Joe's question was, yeah, everything is devastated, everything is dead damaged. I mean, the pictures I saw, there's not even a wall standing,
Hmm.
right? But again, some of the walls you don't see the smoke signs on them and things like that. But again, something doesn't seem natural to me, and what pisses me off right now the most is I think today or something, like 6 days after, Biden was asked about what he's going to do, right? Send help or
Oh.
whatnot. And he's basically enjoying the vacation and he's not doing anything
Oh,
about it.
geez.
He
It's
hasn't
like,
spoken about it at all.
yeah, yeah. He actually says something like, leave me alone. I want to enjoy my vacation type of thing. But it's like, to me, that's just, horrifying saying like, even after 6 days, you didn't pay attention to because Hawaii. I mean, to me, it's like this, right? Like you said, people jumped in the water, right? And that was true. And it's not like you can swim, 2 miles across to somewhere else, right?
Right.
It's in the ocean. You see, like it's the middle of Pacific. Like you can't really get to anywhere.
No, you can't
So
just swim to the
it
next
is
ocean. It's
bad.
miles and miles away.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Right.
Yeah. So
So let me. I don't know if you guys watch. Well, it's a podcast slash YouTube channel, redacted.inc. Are you guys aware of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I watch them regularly. They are my go-to people just because they will always give me unbiased information. I don't care. They say it themselves, and I double check fact check their stuff, open links to see if it's true or not. Their theory is that this is a land grab. People, Papapai did not want it to give this prime property, and everything is pointing towards that it's a planned thing. That's why their response is so slow, and it's just a way to get these people to leave the land because there will be no insurance coverage
Oh,
for that,
right.
and these people will go broke and they will have to now sell their land, and most of the people, not most but a lot of them, are already dead, so they don't even have to worry
Oh,
about
yeah.
Yeah,
acquiring because now there is nobody to claim it.
could
Wow.
be. I mean, that would be
so
absolutely
this would be like a
monstrous. But
genocide, right?
yeah,
Basically.
Huh.
Well, that's why I don't understand. I don't know. This is a theory, and this is why things got crazy because some people will not even want to hear this, and it,
Right.
one after another. Now, and here is the thing. Let's say the theories are right, then we are doing it to our own people. Like, are we not safe anymore?
Right.
hmm,
Yeah.
What can happen to us next?
Well,
If
I personally don't feel safe since the vaccine mandate went in because again, you guys might not know, but I have not been working since almost 2 years now,
Wow.
and yeah, and this is something I should be doing, basically working because I am always in the forefront of technology, right? I'm actually doing things that does make a big difference in a lot of things. Like, for example, when I used to work at DoD, I was in the forefront when I was working on the 5G for last seven
Wow.
years before 5G came out. So like I'm always on the forefront of technology. And basically when I sit home, you guys may not see technology for a while. I mean, that's what happens. And I'm not the only one sitting at home, right? I mean, there's a lot of people with my caliber sitting at home because of vaccines is one thing, but because of a lot of other BS that's going around in the
Huh.
world and well, in the US, not the world, in the US, and that's just political stuff, and it's just like blocking people from doing what we should be doing in a normal
Hmm.
life.
Interesting.
Waking up, go to work, take care
I
of family, things like that.
I know, and it breaks my heart to even hear this. I was not expecting. Like, if you're such a high skill guy, right? You're like top of the brass. You're the kind of people they go after. And if you're having a hard time, I
Correct.
cannot imagine what is happening to everybody else. Because
Yep.
you make the most of money in these situations because you're the engineer who does everything. So I am a Microsoft engineer, so I know the pay scale, So if and my whole team was let go. Actually, I just found out yesterday, and at Microsoft, because now they are moving all towards AI. But this is a very big topic I want to touch on. I hope you come back, Bhavin, and then we will talk more about it. Right now, I want to switch to another topic because I
Sure.
know you're short on time. I posted a link to you guys about this million people march that is going to happen in Canada. And the big thing about it to me is it's organized by Islamic Muslim people, which I love them for. But Hindus are coming together, Christians are coming together. Everybody is ready to take on. It's going to happen in August, and their agenda is what we talked about in the last episode: is stay away from our kids,
Yeah.
stop your ideology kind of a training at such a young age. And a few people, actually not a lot, a few people told me, hey, this is all yes, and this is just a conspiracy theory, it's not happening. Well, if it's not happening, then why a million people are willing to walk?
Right. Right.
So Joe, you go ahead.
Uh, you said Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure. Um, yeah, I heard that they were all joining together, and I thought that was awesome. Um, and I I do believe we need to spread awareness of this and awareness of what's actually going on, because they keep telling us that it's like uh, the what I call it, the trans reading thing. I don't know what to call it, but they're going to the schools and or libraries and reading to the
Drag Queen
kids,
Story Hour.
and it's like, why do you need trans people reading to the kids? It's a strange thing. And then you go on to YouTube or Rumble and look at the videos of what's going on, and they're not just reading to the kids; they're doing burlesque shows in front of 5-year-olds. It makes no
I want to see
sense.
a link to where
And
they're
they're saying
doing
they're not grooming
inappropriate
them.
burlesque in front of 5-year-olds, please.
Yeah,
No,
that's what they're up
no,
to.
I want to see the link of those particular things happening, because the only Drag Queen Story Hour video that I've been seeing is literally a drag queen reading some sort of
Well, all you have
positive
to do is
book of
look.
like love yourself and be respectful. That's all I've been seeing. So I want to see these videos
Yeah,
where
Well,
so
you've
I'm
been
telling you,
seeing.
that's what they're pushing. That's what they're pushing. But I have seen the videos, and it's amazing. And I will, if I can find some, I'll show them to you. But I'm saying you can look them up yourself. Um,
Please do, because
uh,
this always gets referenced and I'm always left confused. I'm like, what videos are you guys seeing? Because then if you're just seeing video that someone recorded in a drag club for 18 plus, then no
no,
one should be
no,
bringing their kids
they're
to that.
little
That's
kids,
not cool.
little
But
kids,
media,
little kids sitting around on the floor, and
right.
and a drag queen doing weird stuff in front of them.
Joe, I understand both of sides, right? And this is why
Yeah,
we are talking about it.
yeah.
It will be helpful if we reference a video. I will look it up and send it to Davy and both of you, actually, all of you. I will put it in the
Okay,
chat so that
all
we
right.
can see it, because I have seen it too, and it is hard to believe. But again, I have to side with Davy on this because till this is something
Until
I have
everybody
to
sees it, it doesn't exist.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
fine
no,
with that. I'm fine with that.
I need every side to see it. You know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say? Like, it
yeah,
cannot be us saying that this is happening. They have to, in a
yeah.
way,
Oh,
agree to it and validate it, because
yeah.
it happens to Trump voters a lot, that they scream and nobody listens,
Oh,
and then there is a link, and then we share, and then some people like, oh, okay, this doesn't make sense, and some are like, nope, it's still, well, it's still
yeah.
conspiracy theory. So we are not trying to reach everybody, we are trying to reach reasonable people, those who see what's happening. And that's why I'm gonna side with you on this. Let's give enough information so people can make
Yeah.
up their.
For sure. And if I
Right. And
see this,
I will look that
right,
stuff
and
up.
if I see
Yeah.
this awful video, then I will totally believe you. Like I won't be like, "Oh no, this is fake. This is." No. Like if I see it and it's real, then I totally believe you. Like that's not okay. But I can promise you from the drag queen friends that I have in my life, that is not
Hmm.
what is going on, and that's not okay. Like
And
Yeah.
actually,
like
my
read
point
the
too.
hungry
It,
caterpillar to children, but don't be like dancing in underwear. Like what the
but why are they? So you, what you don't understand, Devi, from our side is why are we getting fed up this information? And Bhavin, you can chime in on
Well,
this
my
too.
thing is, I
What?
feel like just the drag world in general, it's it's viewed from a different lens if you're kind of on the outside of the community. I've been on outside and inside. So I do kind of get
Right.
where the fear comes from. And it's not the
Hmm.
drag community does not want to expose children to 21 plus inappropriate stuff. That's not what they're doing. It's supposed to be just an 18 plus enjoyed within that community. Kids are not supposed to be seeing the really racy stuff. They're not supposed to be exposed to that. And if they are, that's the parents' fault for thinking it's okay to show that to their children. That's up to the
Thank you for
parents.
saying
Like
that.
drag queens are
So,
doing their own thing.
uh,
It's a just a form of self-expression. It's just for fun. Yeah, it's not meant to be this sort of
so,
indoctrinating, brainwashing thing.
so I'm gonna chime in on this whole thing in general. Okay, so it's not just about this LGBTQ, but what I've been noticing, I would say in general, is they're reprogramming the kids. And it's not just LGBTQ; it's everything else too. It's they're teaching, like if you walk into elementary school right now, you'll see stuff like about a lot about politics. Like, hey, who should you vote for? Hey, Trump is bad, Hillary's good. I mean, this is what I've seen in 2016, right? But
You
the
actually.
whole thing, the whole thing that I'm against is I
No.
think that children should be given their childhood back, and they should, say for example, so voting should not occur until you're 18 years old. So I
For
think
sure.
that voting should not be, or anything political should not be introduced in schools until they're in like junior senior year of high school, right? Because at that time they still cannot vote, but now they're 15, 16, they can now start learning about it. So in 2 years from then on they can go vote. So, like, for example, anything to do with sexuality or anything to do with the political stuff, anything to do with like corruption, any of that topics that are reserved for adults, they need to keep away from kids. But what's happening is the schools nowadays are trying to brainwash kids. And I'll give you an example. So, for example, and Kalki will know this. When we were back 20 years back in the Iraq War, right? When we were under Bush, for example, there were a lot of videos shown to us saying, hey, in the Middle East, 5-year-old kids, right? This is now different nation, but 5-year-old kids were given machine guns, right? And then they were uh, repeated saying, death to America, right? So it's basically it's a similar thing. In other words, it's like you're programming kids with something they don't understand, but you say it enough times that they start, I mean, that becomes a norm to them. And I think that's what's wrong with what's going on with a lot of stuff. So it's not just LGBTQ; it's everything else as well. But this is called reprogramming the next generation and not giving them the proper knowledge of what they should be learning or having their childhood, right? Like, go on a playground, fall down, get a scratch. Like, they're not getting all these things. They're getting iPads, they're getting computers, they're getting this information that puts them in a different realm than what we went through when we were kids, type of thing.
Right? Like this generation, and I don't even believe it's reprogramming. Like to some degree, there may be some parents that are extreme that are trying to push some kind of lifestyle on their kids. That's not the
Yeah.
majority. I think what the thing is kids are now at a younger age more exposed to the world around them through phones, through iPads, from what their parents talk about. And it's so much different from our generation when we didn't have that kind of information, and LGBT stuff just wasn't really talked about. Like it wasn't really until more recently, like the
Excuse me.
2010s, that LGBT people of any kind had felt some sort of acceptance and felt that they could be seen. And like that's just happening
But
Correct. And
now,
again, yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong, again, exposing or getting the culture to accept something. I'm not against that. It's just that um, there should be something to consider when it comes to age limits, but also something to consider what, like, something should only happen in private and not public type of thing. So like a lot of things that's happening lately, it's not more about getting their word out, it's more about forcing it down somebody's throat. And I think the forcing part is the wrong part. It's like, it's not just that getting people to accept something that should be accepted as a respected, in a respected
Right.
way, but more like when someone says, no, you must do this in this way and that's it, or then people stop talking,
Yes,
like people stop talking about it. Like, that's what's happening. We're divided because we don't talk about
Sure,
it, right?
sure.
It's
right.
the divisions because like one side doesn't know how to explain to the other side, and then the other side doesn't know how to listen or explain. Like right now, if I talk to somebody on some hot topic, they don't even listen. Like I would give them 100 different ways to look at something, but they wouldn't want to just listen. Like, they don't want to see the proof, right? And like, when that comes to that, it's like, I say the phrase, like, you can't teach the unteachable. Like, if someone doesn't want to listen, there's no way you can
Right.
get them to do
I
anything.
want to come in on this. So from Davy's perspective, number one, this is the best thing I could have heard, because I want other side to understand this is not what is happening or what LGBTQ community wants, but that's what's getting propagated. And I
Correct.
think whole targeting thing that is happening to the kids. If somebody said, I forgot the name, but give me a generation to groom and I will rule the country.
Mm, right.
And that's what's
And
happening.
I
Yeah.
completely
Nobody,
understand the fear with trans kids. Like, that's definitely a really muddy gray situation where I stand on it. If a child wants to play around with their gender identity, wearing different clothes, go by a different name, totally. But when it comes to hormone blockers, like serious medical changes, that should wait until you're 18, like past
Exactly.
puberty, because they might change their mind. Like, there are things that once it's done, it can't be undone.
You can't
Mm-mm.
undo it.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. So other thing I want to bring out the point, right? Because like, I heard when Joe talks and when David talks, right? Like, there's this race, right? But that the reason that happens, right? And again, this is not just it happens everywhere. The reason this happens is I've noticed one thing, right? Media plays a big part. Like, people who I know watch like the mainstream media. They're Democrats. They don't watch anything other than that. So they're branded in their lies, right? And on the other side, people watch Republican channels. Like, for example, I typically get my news nowadays from international channels because I don't trust any media in the US because they're just out there
let,
dividing.
yeah, but let me break it to you. They are also part of the same collaboration. You know,
Correct.
there is no true news left, and this is
There
why.
is no right. It's all opinionated, right?
It's all cover up. They always cover up the truth. Both sides are trying to push the extremes while
Yes.
not meeting in the middle and delivering the truth. So no one really knows what to
Correct.
do, and everyone has gross mistrust because of the
Yeah.
misinformation.
So for everyone who's listening, this is what I want them to do because this is what I do, right? Earlier I said, remember, I think when Kalki asked which side do I stand on, I said, well, I will always listen to everyone talking, right? So for example, if I was a normal person, which everyone should try to be, and they should listen to both channels. They should listen to the Republicans and the Democrats because the reason is, see, when you look at both sides, when you look at the positive and the negative, right? Okay, positive is what side you're on, and the negative is obviously the ones you don't like. But you always have to listen to both in life. Everything that you do, listen to both. And then you can see who's lying because then all you gotta do is put their theories to test. And then you just gotta start asking questions to yourself, saying like, what is the purpose of these people saying it this way? What is the purpose of these
Mm,
people saying it this way? What is they are gaining? What is they're not gaining? And so when you start looking at it that way, you can start clearly seeing that what is their agenda, right? And then you can tell the black and the white. You can tell, hey, there's a gray area. This is all black. This is all white. Like, you can see that what's wrong, what's right. That's what I do. I mean, that's how I usually put everybody to test and say, hey, which one makes more sense, right? Um,
Then you talk to other people, because everybody is going through this together, and then you will get a new perspective that you're not thinking about. Like, all of you, I'm pretty sure, heard about World Economic Forum. Another hot topic. How many of you have heard of it? WEF?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Oh, the World Economic Forum. Is that
Yep.
what you're saying? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So, what do you think about that? And do you think that has anything to do with all of this that's happening? Let's start with Joseph. Go ahead.
All right. um, I believe those are the globalists who want to take over the world. That's actually just part of it, but yeah, Klaus Schwab and I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's um, basically they want a world government, they want a digital world currency, and um, they want to control the population. And to control the population, they want to keep the population down to a half a million or a half a billion, sorry, half a billion. So 500 million, which right now we're at 8 billion. So that means they got to kill, get rid of, um,
Let me take care.
yeah, like a lot of people. So, yeah, that's their goal, and I believe that they'll reach their goal eventually. I believe that there will be a world government, a world currency, a world religion, and it'll be forced on us, and that's where it's headed. I think we have some time where things are going to get really good shortly. Biden's not going to be around forever. We're going to get back to a free America and a prosperous America, and but I don't know how long that will last because okay, I'm as far right as you can go, and I've said this before. I am totally against totalitarianism. I believe every mass murdering dictator ever was a lefty. And they just portray Hitler as a righty because they don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. They want to blame everybody else. But he was a socialist and he was the head of the Socialist Party. And
So, I,
socialists are lefties.
I have some opinions on this too, and it will be a little bit triggering for everybody, but we will get to other people can speak their
I,
mind.
I,
So,
I do want to finish what I'm saying, though.
okay, yeah.
Okay, and then I'm also not racist, and I don't believe conservatism allows racism either. We believe that all people are created equal, and that's why white Christian American men freed the slaves, because they were all conservatives. That's what our founders were. Now, and those were the only people allowed to vote at the time, so nobody else could do it. Um, so to not give us credit for it or not, to try and blame us for slavery makes no sense. But the point is that we're going to the pendulum swings right and left. And right now it is as far left as it has ever been in America. And it's about to swing right again. And it's going to swing right as far as it can go. And that's when we're going to experience freedom and prosperity like we never have before. Like right now, we're kind of experiencing misery, like like we shouldn't be.
Right.
But I think very soon it's going to swing. But then it's going to swing back, and it's going to be a worldwide swing, and it's going to be the end of the world as we know it. It'll be a one world government, and you will obey or suffer consequences.
Got it. Okay. I feel with you, and I have so much opinion on that. But just let's go to Davy. Davy, do you have any points on this?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to get into the slavery thing because that's a whole nother can of worms. But
Yeah,
when
we
it
are not
comes
going
to
there.
our economical standing, it seems like honestly, our world turned upside down in 2001 and didn't really come back. It came back for a short time before, Sleepy Joe stepped up, but not really by much. And now we're kind of back down. I mean, if something doesn't give where we can get out of this after Biden is done, I don't know how things are really going to get much better. And things just seem to be getting worse and worse when it comes to our dependence on technology and AI, and everything is being used with AI now. And if it comes to a point where we're solely dependent on that, then of course something's going to fall apart and we're going to be stuck. So, yeah, as it is right now, I don't know how or when it's going to get better, but it's not going to get better anytime soon.
I was not expecting to hear that from Davy.
Well, like, so in my political stances, I'm like very in the middle, left leaning for certain values and freedoms. But when it comes to economical views, I'm sorry, but the
Right.
Republicans kind of know how to handle finances better and have a handle on certain things where Democrats want everything to be free and everything paid off, but money's not free. And when you do that, that affects the value of our money. And it, yeah, no. So that's where I stand, which I know is always surprising to people because I look like the most left you
Wow.
could be, but I'm
Wow.
really not.
And before I go to Bhavin, I will say something really quickly. I try to reach out to a lot of far left leaning people to come and join us. And some of them agreed, but not this week. And most of them were just like, nope, not even want to talk about any of this. You guys are crazy. And that's what hurts because it's not, I'm not saying we are right, but I'm saying please come educate us, at least let us understand what you're hearing or what you're seeing or what you're thinking, and then we present our points, you present your points, and then we find where the truth is. That's what Bhavin was saying. So now I go to
Is that we
Bhavin.
can come to an
What
understanding when we're presented both sides and both views of a situation. But if we don't talk
that's the
about it,
basic
then nothing gets cleared up and there's no way to understand.
and and to Joe's point, that's what they are doing. That's how they keep us divided, so that we are in our own corners and they just control us like that. Right? Bhavin, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so before I answer the question, I want to just say something what Davey said, right? Or what the situation. You were surprised Davey was here, but I would say, and I was going to say the same thing. If you find somebody who's completely on the left, they will not want to join your call anyway, because, I say the phrase, have you ever been in a fight with and again, I'm not using the word lightly here, but or heavily, but it's just the only way to say it. If you ever been in a fight with a stupid person, what they do is first they bring you down to their level and then they beat you up, and that's what it is, right? So that's what I've seen usually the really left people, because they never have anything solid to show, to prove, to make sense. And when I say make sense, I mean like the common sense, right? Like the simplest stuff. Common sense meaning something should always make sense to everybody else without needing any proof. Like that's just the common sense, right? Like, don't, like, for example, don't shoot the bullet up in the air because it's going to come down. I mean,
Yeah, but let me
but
clarify something really quickly. I did not say all of them. I do have a couple of far-leaning, left-leaning people will be joining our show. They said
Yeah.
so because they
no,
want
that's
to
good.
come to us. But
No,
yes,
that's good. But what I'm saying is, if they join, they have some part of their brain open to explore, because we're all exploring right now, right? I mean, everybody who's on the call, they're open to listening and, of course, presenting. But when you meet somebody who's only open to presenting and not listening, that's what I meant, earlier. So those people will not join. But
but I
back to
want them to join too. That's the whole point.
no,
Yeah.
I want to hear
I
them.
want to. I do also want that too. Of course, we all do.
I would say all of us should reach out to those people
Correct.
and be like, hey, we are very respectful. We are very loving. We
Definitely.
care for you. Just come talk.
Okay. So back to your question, WEF, in one word, if I describe this in one word, I would say the word is Thanos, right, from Marvel.
Very good. Very good.
If I had to
Yeah,
describe this in, if I had to describe this in
We
two
all
words,
get it.
two words, description would be they leave. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. It's that movie will tell you more than I mean, it's of course a
anything. Yeah,
fantasy movie, but
no,
if you
it's
haven't
not.
watched it, watch it.
it's their agenda. They are just trying to prepare us. Like, hey, this is a fun movie. Watch it. Nope, we are actually doing it to you.
Exactly.
And this
Again,
is
when that movie came out, it was based on obviously not real or novel, like non-real stuff. But you're right. Like now, and I think that was like 1988, if I'm not wrong. But that now, what 30 years later, you're right. It's become more like a reality. So now, if you think about it, was it part of the plan to put it out in Hollywood? Because I hear things, right? Like Hollywood preps you guys up, like how
Yeah.
we're prepping the kids up. Hollywood preps you up with some ideas that has been happening. We just don't know about it until now when it becomes mainstream, right? But
Mm.
right
Oh,
for
yeah,
absolutely.
for
but
you to accept it. For you to more readily accept it. That's their agenda. They
Yeah.
make it seem like, oh, you're gonna be the hero. No, they just want you to understand this is gonna happen and be prepared and be excited about it.
yeah,
Avengers example,
This may
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
reach, but even in I know Disney's sucked lately, but like Disney's trend of making these movies where they're taking these beloved villains and then being like, "Oh no, it was all a misunderstanding. You love them. They're good people." Like that might be a reach, but I mean, that's been an odd trend that's been going on for a
Yeah.
number of years, right? Like
That's a
mistress
good
of
correct.
all
Yeah,
evil
observation.
Maleficent. No, no, she was good. A man made her evil. We hate the man.
yeah.
It's like, what?
That is correct.
Why?
It is
Man,
basically
that's a good,
brainstorming, right?
very good
And
observation.
yeah, and I
and
think what David said is exactly true. That the Hollywood is basically the schooling for the adults. When the earlier what we talked about was schooling, for the kids, they're reprogramming, and Hollywood is reprogramming the adults, and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
basically saying, here's what it is. And you know how, so for example, you know how the mainstream media works, right? Like what it is in a human psychic, right? You say something, and it doesn't have, it could be true, could be false, doesn't matter. It's you say something and you believe it, that it is true even though it's wrong. It could, you just believe it's true, and then you say it like 5, 10 times. The other person, because they heard it 5, 10 times, they're gonna start believing that that's true, and that's exactly the game plan that
wait
the
on
yeah,
yeah.
the MSM does, right? The mass media. That's how they're being lying for whatever, at least since 2014 that we know. When
You-
Trump
you-
gets
you- They have been lying forever. They are just
right.
audacious about it. And I just want to do a plug here. You know why I call this group Rebels United? Because just like Avengers, when I say Rebels Unite, I'm just saying, let's break.
I
Oh,
like it.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Okay, let me find my hammer. Hold on.
Oh, this is gonna be my closing sign off from now on.
Right.
I'm for it.
Oh boy.
But this is what is great right now. I know this moment feels very cathartic and very great, but this is exactly what I want other people to understand. You are not alone. I thought I was going crazy and only I think this way, but that is not the truth. Apparently, I have never spoken to any of these three people before about any of this stuff. And look how much we are on the same page.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
may not be a coincidence.
Yeah. That's good.
What they say, the alcohol is the bringer of people, right? It's if you ever meet a person on your vacation, wherever you're going, because like for example, when I go on cruise, for example, right? I'm always excited because on a cruise, usually, most likely, you will never find a sad person because everyone's like in their vacation mode, and you're on a cruise. So obviously, the thing is, you drink. You're not driving anywhere, so you drink.
Yeah.
So, so like alcohol is one thing, but alcohol parties, and you're right. A lot of people stop going out. A lot of people stop doing a lot of things. And again, some part of that game was also the COVID shutdown, but it is that this government is striking a fear so that people do distance themselves from everybody else. And I think that's what you're describing that you went through. And
Mhm.
that's one of the way they are dividing physically, right?
Hmm.
Because people would put the space between them and everybody else, like like a wall, like a Berlin Wall, right? And then next thing you know, you're not talking to anybody else. You're not going out. You're not having friends anymore. And then obviously the psychology kicks in because people will go crazy. And it's not like anything science. This is basically how it works, right? And you're right, this is what's happening, and we
And
do
then
need to bring everybody together. Yeah,
instead of them trying to kill us, we're gonna kill each other.
that's their plan, right?
Or kill ourselves. We
Yeah,
depression went way up.
shoot,
Suicide went way up.
everything. Myocarditis went way up.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
You know.
I don't know if you guys heard, but basically, I'm right now in Pennsylvania, right? So
Mhm.
the latest thing for us, and again, I know this is probably natural, but it was funny how Canada's far from us. Like it's a 7 hour drive before I get to the to the Niagara Falls, and then of course that's where Canada starts going up. And the wildfires were above that, like maybe 3 hours even north of that. But we were getting smoke all the way out here for days and
Right.
days and days,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
that was
especially
crazy.
in New York. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And the index, right? The AQI index is air quality indicator. That
Yeah.
index goes from 0 to 500, right? And anything above 50 is bad for people with issues, like if they have asthma or something, is bad for those people above 50. And anything above 100 is just bad for everybody, like even for the healthy people. And we were measuring 422, 450,
Wow.
and it would stay for days and days. Like this.
Wow.
Yeah, we were again basically, in other words, locked in, in the homes for. It wasn't a government mandate, but it was basically, I mean, you're not gonna go out basically because
Right.
it's.
Not without your gas mask.
Well, even I think even with mask, I wouldn't want to go out because 400 out of 100 is bad. 400 is like,
Well, not a little cloth mask. I mean a gas mask or an air tank.
Like World
oh,
War
like
II
Something like
N95, yeah,
that.
development mask,
probably.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I have confirmation from two different people. One is in the services, and one is like the management of a gym. They are already talking about COVID mandates again.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I heard that. Yep. COVID's
No, but
coming back.
it was a conspiracy theory so far, but now they're already sending out the notifications. Hey, start to get ready. We are
Uh,
about to pop again.
I heard somewhere, I
well,
don't
for
remember
two.
where the theory was, that something's going to happen in 2030. Like either COVID's going to kick back up real bad or something new is going to come out.
Oh, I heard 20 something bad's gonna happen in 2027, if not earlier.
2027 is the word I
Yeah,
heard.
I
Yeah,
believe it.
if not earlier.
Well,
and
I
then
think I think something really bad's going to happen in 2027.
and then Kalki might know this, but again, I look at some other stuff overseas as well. And you
Mhm.
know how some people predict the future and things like that. Like, not that I'm saying it's accurate or not, because we wouldn't know that until it happens. But some people who have credit, good enough credit that their past predictions came true, those people are predicting something like this. This Ukraine-Russia war turns into World War III, goes on for 7 years, and all these things. Right? Again, I'm not saying
Mhm.
right now that that's what's going to happen because we don't know. But
Right.
No,
based on their track history,
I'm saying that's what's gonna happen. I have no freaking fear to say that anymore because I'm seeing all the trends.
I.
Huh.
It's
I'm
more than possibly, yeah, that it could happen, right? But it is possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a possibility. It's inevitable, just like
No.
Thanos.
True. True.
You know,
No.
Oh no, no, yeah, it's happening. It's inedible. It's
No.
happening. I'm just saying, like the 7 year thing versus maybe it's a 10 year, where maybe it's 4 year. Like the time wise, we don't know. But yeah, you're right. It is inevitable. There's a lot of issues that kind of like I describe in a way, like when you're in a dry forest, right? Everything is dry and it can easily burn, and then all it needs is a spark. And so I
Yeah.
think things have been collecting for the last 10, 15 years, more like 20 years, since 9/11 or even before then. So things have been collecting, all the dry materials been collecting in the world, and all it needs is a spark. And I think that spark was basically the Biden coming in, and then Russia saying, hey, you're in now, so we're gonna go and go mess up with Ukraine and things like that, whatever, like all these things. I think the spark has started, and I think that
Yeah.
would be a true statement as of now, right? But I think it could go further. Yeah.
no, for me, it's pretty much it's written. They are already telling us.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
giving
It's
us-
true.
Even
I just
how
don't. I don't want to be the bad bear of the news, but
no, but I'm like, how blind I have to be like, oh, they told us before, and you know, I will say from bottom of my heart, I have no issue with what they are trying to do because I understand. I understand because I have seen. species perish off the earth. I used to believe that's the only way forward, because otherwise we cannot. It's not about sustainability. It's like let live and live by yourself. That thing
Correct.
was going away. So I'm not against them, but then they went after the kids. And
Mhm.
when
Yeah,
you to the kids, I don't give a crap. You're my target. If you go after innocent people, you go after kids, you go after women, you're my target.
Mhm.
That's my issue with you. You can kill me off. I'm okay with it. I will happily go, but not.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Th- Yeah, that is true. A lot of stuff with the kids right now. Yeah, like kidnap and containers and all this. Yeah, it's all. You're right. It's all. I think David was saying something about slavery. Well, slavery has been there. Believe me. Slavery was all over the world, and then obviously the U.S. got rid of it 150 years ago. But that's not the latest one, right? In the world, the last slavery got rid of just what 30 years ago, right? In some
Well,
countries.
there's still,
So
yeah, there's still countries that have slavery, and
correct.
sadly, there's still slavery in America because of the underground stuff going on, the kidnappings and
Oh
you know,
yeah,
they're
Well,
being
trafficking
even
kidnapped
is at an
to
all-time
be turned
high.
into slaves. Yeah,
even
yeah,
technically even the corporate world of America is slavery.
oh yeah,
Slave to the system for sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean
There's a
we,
lot worse than that going on, sadly.
but yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah,
slavery is there. Yes.
yeah.
so, okay. Call sign. It's about time because we are already over. And look, we were struggling to just get on, and Bhavin has to leave early, and nobody wants to go nowhere. So I think we are
Um,
on to something, and more people, I hope, will join, and I hope all of you will be my regulars going forward. I know Joseph is not sure, but I hope both of you will. Now you all have X, and thank you, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I wonder if people working at Twitter now are called ex-employees.
Well,
you know, uh, I have a greeting in the starting that's all about God, but now I'm gonna get a little bit serious. Uh, I'm starting to feel like you're sinister and not are like sinister people. Those who are trying to get control over everything.
Yeah,
I am okay with everything, but you made a big mistake. You went after something that we all hold dear. And you are just trying to make us miserable. You could have done it much faster and not make us suffer, but you're choosing to. So, this is my message to the world. Either you're with us or you're against us. And if you're against us, then go fuck yourself and let us fucking peace.
Uh,
Hey, this is all it about. You freaking people. Let us fucking peace. That's all we want.
that's
And with that, I thank you, all of you. This is Rebels United, Chapter 3, and we will see you next Monday at 3, hopefully without any technical issues.
right.
Thank you.